Hey everybody, this is Dominic D'Angelo of WrestleZone.com. I'm just giving you a quick little introduction to my interview here with WCW star Crowbar. Now, this was really an intriguing interview. I reached out to him after I caught wind of his challenge that he made to Cody for the TNT title, and his challenge is very intriguing. As you hear this tonight, it'll be Cody challenging Warhorse. But this could be a very intriguing matchup too if you think about this because Cody was a big fan of WCW back in the day and had a lot of admiration for a lot of the stars there. And Crowbar happened to be on the tail end of WCW's run, so it's pretty interesting. He doesn't actually really make that connection in his challenge. He makes a very different connection that's very cool and very specific to Cody. So we talk about that. We talk about his history as a physical therapist, which he was doing while he was a star in WCW. It's pretty amazing, and so he makes his living is off of that, and he's very it's crazy. It's not the Crowbar you're used to seeing on WCW whatsoever, and it was a really cool conversation. I was super happy to talk with him about a lot of stuff. You'll see we cover one certain topic for a very long time at the end, and it doesn't deal with wrestling, but it's a very fun topic if you're a bit of a nerd. So there you go. And we're all nerds to an extent. We're wrestling fans, so there you go. All right. Yes. So you can follow him at WCW Crowbar, I believe, on Twitter. You can follow me at Dominic D'Angelo on Twitter. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. Subscribe to this podcast feed. Just type in WrestleZone on your podcast feed of choice, and we should pop right up. You get not only these interviews, these exclusive interviews, but you get WrestleZone Live. That's our daily podcast that we do from every Monday through Thursday. And then you get two Dynamite Dudes with Attitude. So that's me and my younger brother Marcus discussing the weekly ongoings of AEW Dynamite and breaking them down, reviewing them, assessing them, talking of the highs and lows. It's a lot of fun. We have a good time doing it, and I can't thank everybody enough because we've gotten a lot of new listeners going on, and it's really flattering, and I'm super appreciative of it, just as I was appreciative of Crowbar for taking the time to speak with me. So without further ado, Crowbar.
I actually graduated high school. I started pro wrestling in high school my junior year, and then I went to college, pursued physical therapy, and at that time, the Northeast is just loaded with, it was a hotbed for like independent wrestling, so went to school during the week. I worked almost every Friday, Saturday, Sunday on indies, and then I did a few things for WCW, and then they were nightly. You know, I couldn't sign on or anything. I wanted to finish my curriculum, and then I did ECW, which at that time was mainly out of Pennsylvania and out of as far north as Boston and as far south as Baltimore. So it was all northeast based. So I was able to go to school all week and work on the weekends, and it just worked out good, man. It just kind of meshed up well. I had no social life outside of wrestling in school, but it was cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And to be that ahead of the game too, what were you, 22, 23 at that point?
Well, I graduated at 18, and I went to Kane University, and then they had a physical therapy program in conjunction with, at that time, it's now owned by Rutgers, but at that time it was called the University of Dentistry and Medicine of New Jersey, and that's where I went, and it just kind of worked. It was all along the way. Like I said, I started wrestling at 17 at Mike Sharp's school. He had school shows twice a month, which which to us new guys was like a WrestleMania. It was awesome going down there, and just stepping in a ring was pretty awesome. And then little by little, we got out there on the independents and stuff like that, and then we got to where, you know what I mean? We got to where WCW called, and then ECW was there and stuff like that. And, Yada yada yada. I guess I'm a Seinfeld fan. If I can't fill in the
Oh
blank,
my God!
it becomes yada yada yada. So.
We'll talk. We got to talk about that then a little bit. Let's get to it. We kind of did an introduction already. So hey, this is Dominic D'Angelo, WrestleZone.com. I'm really happy to have with me here today Crowbar, also known as Devin Storm, and also known as a physical therapist too, a professional physical therapist. So. Yeah, man, thanks for doing this with me. It's going to be, I'm looking forward to chatting with you about several aspects of wrestling, current day, today, and what you've done, and like what you hope to do too. So thanks for doing this, man.
Sure, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, man. Cool.
Yeah, so awesome. So I guess we'll start off with what really intrigued me to reach out to you was the awesome promo you did for to make a pitch for the AEW TNT Championship. When I watched it, I was like, "Oh, what's he gonna say?" And I thought it was such a cool way to do it. You're a Star Wars fan. Cody's a Star Wars fan. You're in the room that has all your Star Wars memorabilia, and you're putting that all on the line. I thought that was such a neat idea that stood out. Talk about how you kind of got the inspiration for that, and what all the pieces that came together for you to do that.
Okay. Total disclosure, I'm learning this whole Twitter thing as we go along. I signed up for Twitter in 2017. Everybody told me you got to do Twitter. I just had no time for it. And then December into January, I started doing some stuff from Ring of Honor, and more people suggested that I have to get on. I guess, and I've come to learn that Twitter is very big in the professional wrestling community. It's a big deal. I've not experienced that. I haven't ventured out much. All I really did, social media-wise, was Facebook. I would do some wrestling posts. I ran a few independent shows for charity, and I would do Facebook posts for that. I would Facebook post for my business, and my business is in my hometown, so I would do a lot of town posts. And now, since I've morphed and gone more towards wrestling the past few months, everybody that knows me from Facebook and around town are saying, "Hey, is everything okay? You really haven't posted in a while." And it's just because there's not enough time for me to do both. I have my rehab facility. I have my family. I take my family life so seriously. I love my wife. I love being with my kids. And early on in the 2000s, I established a business. And when you establish a business, you miss a lot of stuff. You miss a lot of the younger years. So the time with them now is so precious to me that I make sure when I do social media or if I do interviews like this, I really want to make sure that I found time to spend time with my family. So yada, 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 as we've discussed before we started this, I'm a big Seinfeld fan. If I want to fast forward to something and get to the point, I'll use yada, yada, yada. And I've been doing it since I've been watching Seinfeld. So I see that Cody had this new title out there. I'm aware that he's a Star Wars fan. And I have a lot of colleagues in wrestling that have heard me speak on occasions at shows, or I would do little promos here or there, and they usually say, we had no idea that you could talk, because Crowbar, the character, was not really a talker, or if he did talk, he did more crazy, goofy stuff like that. And I've gotten an overwhelming response from colleagues and friends and fans that have heard me talk. They go, you're really good at promos. And I also found out that a lot of people don't know that. So I said, hey, Cody has a belt. He's making this open challenge. Every indie guy out there is posting stuff saying that they want to be a contender and all this type of stuff. I go, I'll do a promo. It'll be fun. I go, he's a Star Wars fan. I haven't done a promo in a while. Might be fun, with this whole COVID quarantine. I haven't wrestled. I haven't done any promos. So I said, I want to dip my feet into wrestling again and maybe do something that's cool. So I did a promo, put some thought into it. What does Cody like? What can I bring to the table? I've been told also by colleagues for years and years, they go, your character should be kind of like you. They go, I have so many friends that are in the business, and a lot of guys, year after year, you see guys get more disgruntled with the business. They become
jaded
bitter
almost
towards the business.
Yeah, jaded.
And I'm not. It's not PC. It's not something that a wrestling business person should say. I effing love wrestling. I still love it. I love doing it whenever I can. I like to watch it. I still like to study it, and I enjoy the hell out of it. So I enjoyed the hell out of doing a promo to Cody Rhodes. I really don't expect him to answer. I'm kind of out of the loop of all this stuff. I'm really not friends with a lot of people down there or anywhere for that matter. So it was something cool to do. I know I could back up my actions in the ring. I've been doing some wild stuff as of late, but if you're not on the East Coast, you probably haven't seen it because I stay kind of close to home. And that's kind of what prompted it. I said it would be fun. Let me do a promo. Let me play off the fact that I'm a healthcare provider. Play off the story how my friends say, you really don't need to do this crap. Why are you still doing it? And the answer is because I love it. But let me make that into an arrogant, pompous, well-to-do character. And you ended up with the promo I did.
Yeah. I thought it was great. Like, and you're right. Like, because I was a WCW kid growing up. And so, like, my peak was, like, right before you showed up. So I was like,
Gotcha.
NWO and all that kind of thing. And so,
yep, it was great time.
Great time. And so, like, I remember you being introduced, and yeah, you not really getting a whole lot of opportunity to talk. Like, you were hardcore. I knew that much. You had a crowbar and stuff like that. But, like, no.
I acted like a nut.
Yeah, and you acted like a nut.
I acted like a nut.
So, like, to see just a completely different promo that I was not expecting was really, really neat to see. And I think I hope we get some more eyes on it here. It's because I think it was cool. And even if not, I'm sure it's just therapeutic and very cool for you to do just in itself.
It's out there. It was a lot of fun. You get some guys that are, these days in wrestling are on eggshells. What if somebody takes it the wrong way to that? I don't care. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. If I could get in the ring with Cody, that'd be a hell of a good time. Or, there's a lot of guys out there that are, that I ran with a while or I've seen come out that I would love to get out there with. I'm just having a great time. I'm a huge wrestling fan. I have this cool thing we're doing. We had the opportunity to do it with Ring of Honor. I'm sorry. Luke Clark was the first guy that really gave us the opportunity to show this gimmick. So many people said, that's too edgy, that's too risque, that's a little bit too out there. And we're going back to like 2006, and I kind of held on to this idea for years and years and years, and lo and behold, here comes 2019, 2020, and I actually had the opportunity to finally bring this on more of a mainstream platform and a bigger platform. So it's been kind of cool, man.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and like you see so many wrestlers now, especially during this time where you cannot get outside and you cannot necessarily promote yourself at a show. The best way to do it and to get an identity made or a persona formed for younger talent is via social media. That's the connection. You have that immediate connection with fans that a lot of people haven't had.
Yeah, I'm a late learner, but I'm trying my best. I'm doing my best.
Well, so far so good. I think it's just you're dipping your toes in the pool, and it seems to be working at the moment. So can't beat that. How much of the current product did you watch? A lot of the current product too, or did you kind of stay in tune, or how does your process go? Because you got the full-time job.
I record everything. It's Raw, SmackDown, AEW, MLW now.
MLW, yeah.
Impact. And when I do my cardio, which is every day, at least an hour in the morning, I hop on the bike and I'll watch stuff. I don't get to watch everything, but I really try to watch the current product as well as a lot of older stuff too. I think there's a treasure trove of moves and ideas and sequences that are probably 20, 30 years old that a lot of guys have forgotten about, and I just go in and I'll pick stuff out and I'll try to update it and make it modern.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I watch everything. As a you want to know what I enjoy watching more than anything else? I love like 95 to like 98, like WCW.
Yeah, that's
it
me
was
too.
a great time. They had some bad stuff, but overall there was some really, really great stuff going on. I like the style, especially when they started to really get a great mix of when you had cruiserweights, you had luchadors, you had mid-card guys, you had guys that came down from WWE F at the time, mixing it up with guys that were established WCW guys. You had a strong TV title. And then on the top, you had the name guys that have been there from years and years from both WCW and WWF. So no matter what kind of fan you were, if you were a cruiserweight fan, you had your Eddie Guerreros or Rey Mysterios. If you were a hardcore lucha fan, you had the La Parca or the Psychosis and those guys. If you didn't like that, and if you were more of a mainstream fan, you had Flair, you had Hulk Hogan, Lex Luger, guys like that. Like that time, I really think they had a great mix. And it was a great show a show where no matter what kind of wrestling fan you were, there was something for you to watch.
Yes. Yeah, there really was. And it was like, and as a young fan, I was about 13 or so at the time. So like going into it and just being invested in like a guy like Scott Hall, who was my guy, and then seeing everything else that would come into it, like the cruiserweights and I would get invested in like Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho, and you'd have all these, and the luchadors, like you said, La Parca, Psychosis, Juventud Guerrera, all these different people from different cultures and different styles. It was a really cool, and just the presentation of it all too, I thought was really defined it.
As a fan, when I watch it, that's what I like. But I also have to stay current on what's going on. So I like to find stuff during that time and update it to this time. Like I don't know if you had the opportunity to watch the match we did with Ring of Honor or not, but we did a modern style with modern moves, but we brought back a lot of old school stuff. There was a bodyguard out there. There was a ballet out there. The bodyguard distracted Eli Isom. The valet grabbed the leg. I used it to take advantage. I was a bad guy. You really don't see a lot of that stuff these days, and I think there's still a place for it if you put it into a match that's modernly acceptable, if that's even a word. But I think there's room for. I've always said that today's style is on an athletic plane that's, you can't compare it. It's the athleticism out there is incredible. It's guys are doing wild stuff, but I think along the line, not in every match, but along the line somewhere, a lot of the stuff that made wrestling fun is missing. And yeah, I said a lot of the stuff that made wrestling fun and entertaining is lost, and I'm trying to bring some of that back, along with modernly acceptable moves.
Yes, and you know what? There's certainly a balance, and I've said this. We just talked about it too on the podcast I just finished up with. Was that you wanna see. The moves are amazing, like, and the athleticism is just top notch and unprecedented in a lot of ways that fans have seen. But like, you want them to mean something. So if you have it done constantly, over and over again, you get a little desensitized to it, no matter how amazing it is or whatever it may be. Go ahead.
Maybe it's just me too. The athletic, for me, maybe I'm old. Okay, this is me, but I can process a shooting star press. I can process when, way back in the day, Too Cold Scorpio did a 1.5 splash.
Yeah.
When these guys do these 3.5 twisting corkscrew things, I know it's amazing. I know it's athletic, but my brain can't process what I just watched. I have to go back in slow motion and watch and see what the hell was that. I know it was amazing. I know it was athletic, but my brain can't even figure out what this guy did. And I think some viewers' brains can't process exactly what they're seeing. That's just me.
No, I think you have a point.
Catch it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to lay there for it if the guy is safe. But for me as a fan, I can't register some of this stuff.
No, I'm with you. You know what? I'm really with you because you see it and it's like, holy crap, that was crazy. But I remember
What
too.
was it?
You
What
mentioned
was that exactly? Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned the Shooting Star Press, and I remember seeing Kidman do it with the Flock, with Raven and stuff like that, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's awesome!"
But it was still,
yeah,
it was still one flip.
Yeah.
Your eyes could watch it. Your brain could process it. You know exactly what happened. You know, when you see these backwards corkscrew, flippy things, whatever, as I'm watching it at home, I'm like, oh my God, incredibly athletic. That guy is one of the most gifted athletes I've ever seen, but my brain can't process what it just saw.
And you know, I think a lot of like you're so right in a lot of ways with how, you know, the fun aspects of like the intriguing characters and you know, promo styles and personalities interacting with one another, it kind of gets lost, and it kind of took a lot of it in mainstream wrestling has taken a back seat to the athleticism. And
well, ask me who I think is the best character-wise and moves-wise.
Yeah, who do you think?
Okay.
Do you mean overall, or do you mean who's
People have asked this on other interviews you haven't yet, and I'll tell you, go back to, like, this is just my opinion, and I'm old. What the hell do I know? Go back to, like, 95, 96, WCW, Lord Steven Regal.
Yeah.
Stay with me here. He would come out, he had this cape. Once in a while, he would have the cravat around his neck. Once in a while, he would wear a powdered wig. He had very, for lack of a better word, regal-sounding music, very aristocratic. He had Sir William with him. He had an attendant. He wasn't a manager. He was an attendant with an umbrella, and he had this whole grandiose entrance, great facial expressions, great character. He was a British aristocrat, looked down on everybody else. He was a pompous ass, but got in the ring, the music went off, the wig came off, the cape came off. You saw some incredible in-ring work.
Yeah, absolutely.
When all that stuff came off and all that hoopla was gone, you saw some great work matches, whether he was working with a cruiserweight guy, whether he was working with Sting, whether he was working with Ric Flair. He could work with anybody, but in the midst of all that great physical work rate, the character was never lost, and you bought into that character.
Yes, no, 100%. That's a great one. And, you know, like even you seeing William Regal just progress throughout from WCW into WWE and then NXT even as like a commissioner. It's like he's brought himself, you know, he's defined himself in many aspects and shown his versatility, which is, he's one of the top. I don't want to say underrated because he's like established, but he's underrated for, I think, in a lot of fans' eyes as somebody that kind of flies under the radar in some ways.
I'm not even talking about the commissioner thing. I'm just saying that 95, 96, 97, WCW as an in-ring performer, he had the attendant, he had this outlandish ring gear that you believed, he portrayed a character that you believed 100%, but when all of that, the cape and the wig and everything came off, you saw some and I've never seen him have a bad match.
Yeah.
He could work with cruisers. He could work with established name guys that didn't want to do as much stuff, and it was always good. And, you know, in my opinion, that was the perfect combination of athleticism or in-ring work rate with a character.
Now, is there somebody, a couple talents you could name today that kind of, you know, not of the same realm, but just kind of have that, both that dynamic of persona and impeccable ring style that stands out to you? Is there a couple from any brand it could be, but is there any certain talents that stand out to you?
Like I said, I really don't watch an excessive amount of stuff. Chris Jericho is doing some great stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know, he could still go. He could still go, and he has this character that makes you want to hate him. He's obnoxious. I even said it. I actually caught Impact for the first time in a while, like a few weeks ago. Rob Van Dam has this new character. I had no idea what he was doing, but he's like this guy with some young chicks and he's partying. I think he made an Al Bundy reference or something like that, but the guy could still go, you know? And not just because I cut a promo on the guy, but Cody has that character about him with the suit, the tie. He's this, you know, the second generation great wrestler. He has the whole character behind it, and when he works, he has great in-ring stuff. So there's, you know, that's just off the top of my head because those are the guys that I've been watching more or less. I haven't watched a ton of WWE, so I really can't comment on a lot of those guys, and I don't want to just throw guys out there for no reason.
Yeah.
But just off the top of my head, Jericho, Cody, Rob Van Dam, and, you know, and a lot. Cody comes from a place who, look at his dad, look at his brother, and he clearly knows the value of having a character and being a great in-ring performer.
Absolutely.
Look at, you know, Van Dam could still go, but he was still brought up in a time when character was still important. Same could be said for Chris Jericho. You know, again, what do I know? But that's just my opinion right now.
No, you know, it's funny too because Chris Jericho, like his development and change, how he's reinvented himself time and time again and made himself adapt in a lot of ways. And I was going to ask you about this guy later on, but I always compare him to Terry Funk in a lot of ways, how he made changes to himself to fit the time, so to speak.
Sure.
Yeah, and talk about your time with Terry Funk and working with him just when you guys fought each other. I believe it was at Starrcade 2000 and everything.
Well, once again, probably a wrestling business taboo to say this, but hey, one of my favorite matches growing up and becoming a wrestling fan was Flair Funk, New York Knockout.
Yeah.
And that really, in my opinion, was hardcore before the word hardcore had any meaning. You know, it was an I Quit match, and they used weapons, but they used weapons that regularly occur at ringside. The ringside table was there. The microphone wire was there. They pulled up mats, chairs. They used. I'm a big fan of hardcore matches where it starts off wrestling, it gets a little rough, and then you incorporate naturally occurring things that are at ringside: a guardrail, a chair, microphone wire, announce table. You know, now pulling the table out from underneath the ring is just accepted and commonplace, but I liked it better when they actually used an announcer's table because it didn't look set up there. But now pulling the table out from under the ring is just part of wrestling culture. It's accepted and it's there and it's fine. And you know, that match was hardcore. They started out inside, they went outside, they started incorporating all these weapons. I like that type of a match a lot. I hate what I call a garbage match and WCW did a lot of these where you basically had like a garbage can loaded with weapons that are, and you just threw it out there and you just bludgeoned each other.
Yeah.
And I did it because it was my job, and when you're employed by someplace, you do what they tell you. That's just what you do. That's doing business. But in my heart of hearts, not my favorite kind of match. It's an easy match to do. I don't think it takes a lot of talent. Fans at that time liked it. I hated doing those matches, but I did them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's true.
So, you asked me what it was like. So anyway, grew up being a big fan of Terry Funk. I always followed Terry Funk. So getting to wrestle Terry Funk for the hardcore title on Starrcade, which was WCW's version of WrestleMania, just freaking mind-blowing. It was great. You know, it doesn't get any better than that. Probably not my best technical match at WCW, but without question, probably one of my most memorable. And just it's something, if I rewound the clocks, 16, 15, 14-year-old Chris Ford would never have thought in a million years that he'd be wrestling Terry Funk for a title on WCW's biggest pay-per-view. So pretty effing cool. It was pretty awesome.
I could only imagine how it was like, and like just interacting with somebody such a unique personality like Terry Funk and what he's done for the business and how he's changed so much of the business too. I finished his biography just a couple weeks ago. And oh my gosh, it's just seeing all that he's been a part of. It's just like, if you wanted to make a movie about a wrestler, like a legit, like not like a Mickey Rourke made up character, but a legit wrestler, I think Terry Funk would be your top choice to choose because he's been all over the place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So talk to a little bit, another AAW talent is Joey Janela, and you helped him progress with his physical therapy and stuff. Yeah, talk about... Yeah, give a little bit about that.
Well, we knew each other from years ago. I can't remember the exact year. It's on YouTube somewhere, but I had taken about a year and a half off. I was really working tough to get my business going, though. With the business, we're bringing things to a new level, expanding, and at that time, you don't right away hire a bunch of people. You expand your own workload. You're trying to make things work. You're trying to, make checks and balances and, balance the budget and make things work. So I had taken off about a year and a half. It's on YouTube somewhere, and I got a call from a local promoter, Ricky O, and he was saying, if you're looking to come back, there's this guy, Joey, blah, 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 and this is the honest to God's truth, and I still do this. I usually ask promoters to, as I said before, I happen to love wrestling. I love performing. I don't phone in a performance. I said, put me with somebody young that wants to go, that's safe and good. I go, because it's been about a year and a half, and I'm itching to do some shit now.
Yeah.
So he booked me with Joey. I think me and Joey had to go about 20 minutes. We had some kind of finish with a guardrail. It's, as I said, it's on YouTube somewhere. You can find the link. We went to a double count out with some insane outside the ring spot. We came back and did another match, no DQ, where we killed each other and he won. And from that point on, we just gelled well. He, at that time, was making a name for himself, and he was really out there to make a name for himself. I just love to work. I was a veteran, established guy, but I wasn't a veteran, established guy that was going to go in there and say, hey, kid, let's not do too much, you know what I mean, blah, blah, blah. I'm that rare veteran, established guy that was going to say, hey, let's go out there and rip shit up.
Yeah.
So we went out there, we gelled, we had a ton of fun. I was probably sore for about a month. I'm not sure about Joey. And then, I guess a year and a half ago, or 2 years, Danny DeManto reached out to me. He said, hey, Joey really messed up his leg on a independent show. I'm not sure what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I think I advised him to get an MRI.
Mm-hmm.
It came back what the damage was. Danny asked me, or Joey asked me, I can't remember exactly. What was the prognosis? I said, that's definitely surgery. He needs surgery for that. That's not going to heal itself. It's just not.
Yeah.
And at that time, he had the surgery done. I lived maybe 45 minutes, an hour north of him, and he came to my facility for physical therapy, and he worked his ass off. It was not an easy rehab at all. He had a ton of scar tissue. He had so much damage in there that had to heal, but he worked his ass off. I mean, Joey's out there, and he comes off cool and slick and all this. He loves his fans. He's a good guy. I'm not going to be one of these veterans that calls all the young guys kids. He's not a kid. He's a good guy. He's a good man, but and he knows his niche. He's funny, this, that, but he legitimately cares about putting on a good product. He enjoys his fans. He loves his fans, and And I think, like me, he just loves wrestling too, and he wanted to come back for his fans, and just like I would have, I think he selfishly wanted to come back for himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's something we love doing, and we got to know each other well, more so during that time, and I think I was his second match back. He did one show somewhere, I can't remember where, and then his second match back was actually at the Veterans benefit that I did in my hometown, and we tore it up again.
Yeah.
It was, great guy. I love being around him. He comes off as a smart ass in that, but he's a genuine dude that loves his fans. He loves wrestling, I think. Not quite as much as me, because I don't think anybody loves wrestling as much as me. But he loves the business. He loves performing, and you can see that in the effort that he puts forth.
Yeah, you know what, too? I was fortunate. I interviewed him a couple times, too, and he's something that's great about him, too, is he's very accommodating and very thoughtful when it comes to, like, interacting with media and everything like that. So I think he's a professional in that regard, too, and I think a lot of fans that are very critical of how his style is or whatever, I think there's a lot of misconceptions in regards to him.
I did an interview. I'll send it to you, for one of our matches.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send it to you for your eyes only. Because a lot of the things that people say about Joey Janela, they said about me almost 30 years ago when I was coming up and I was doing flips and moonsaults and Frankensteiners and dives. All the older guys, all the experts say, kid, when you're doing all that shit, you're going to be out of the business in 2-3 years. You're going to be crippled and you're not going to be wrestling and yada, yada, yada. Like, you're doing too much. You're unsafe. It's that 30 years later, I'm still here. I think I'm better than I was 30 years ago, and I'm still apt to tear it up. And so we all know in our hearts what we're capable of. You need to know what advice to take, but you also need to know what advice to ignore.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Joey knows what advice to ignore. He knows what he's capable of. And I think he's going to be entertaining us for years and years to come.
Yeah, and I'm excited. And if you haven't gotten to see it yet, too, he just had that match with Lance Archer on Dynamite last night, and it was really, really,
I did
really
see
good.
that last night. I was actually at work doing paperwork, and he popped on, and me and the guy that worked for me was there. He goes, "Oh, holy shit, that's that guy that was here." I go, "Yeah, that's Joey." So it was pretty cool. My employee was very happy. He helped with Joey's rehab, and he got a real kick out of seeing him last night when we were doing our paperwork. So
oh, yeah. And I just think he did a very good job at displaying a hardcore match, but just didn't make it, over the top or too cheesy or nothing like that.
I think it was great.
Yeah.
I think he did great.
No, I agree with you. Let's see. What did I have? Oh, yeah. Talk about this part. How did the name change come from Devon Storm to Crowbar in WCW? What was the influence to all that, and what happened exactly? Any detail?
Real easy, nothing cool. I had been working the Saturday night show as a more dark, gothic-y, evil Devon Storm, and I had 5-6 matches, and I had walked into a bar after the Saturday night taping. It was a restaurant bar at the hotel, and as it was told to me, I have no idea if it's true or not, but I was told by other management that Vince Russo saw me and he liked my look, and he said, "We have to do something with this guy." And at that time, David Flair, not a strong in-ring performer at all, great guy, but not a strong in-ring performer, was going around whacking people with a crowbar.
That's right. Yeah.
And, but although he was not a great in-ring performer, for whatever reason, you never know what fans think, what people are doing at home. For whatever reason, David was popping ratings. People like seeing this friggin' psycho Ric Flair's son going around assaulting people and bludgeoning people with a crowbar and stalking women. He was stalking Kimberly, I think, at the time, Dallas Page's wife, and people, for whatever reason, liked this, and they were eating it up. the only bad part was you really couldn't put David in a ring or have a strong match. So somewhere in management, they decided that maybe we'll put David in a team and we'll let his partner do the majority of the work. And they still get to see David out there. We could still do vignettes and skits with David. The people still get to see Crazy David. And now we'll pair him with somebody so that we can actually put him in the ring now.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there's this gas station skit in Salisbury, Maryland, where David and Daphne are just wreaking havoc. They pull up to a gas station. Vampiro and the Misfits start beating the hell out of David, and I run him off with a big pipe. I tell him my name's Crowbar. He's been hitting people with the crowbar, so it kind of snaps and it connects for him, and there you go.
That's how it goes. What'd you think of the name and everything like that? Where you're like, oh, I can make this work. Is this like something I could do?
Dude, I got a call to go up to the main show with a character, not just being like a nameless cruiserweight guy or, although at that time I was very excited that I was being groomed to be the next cruiserweight guy that would come up to the main roster and start challenging people. That's what I was being groomed to do at that time. The week before Crowbar happened, or 2 weeks before, I main evented the Saturday night show with Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
At that time, that was like for me working with Hulk Hogan. It was awesome getting in the ring with him, and he let me do a whole bunch of stuff, and that was part of me being groomed to being the next cruiserweight guy.
Yeah.
And this changed the course to where actually what became, for lack of a better word, a gimmick, a character that was going to be allowed to still wrestle. So, as I said before, like with the hardcore garbage cans, that's what they wanted from me. I wanted to be a low drama employee and high performance. Let me go out there and make your show better. I'm not going to give you any problems, but I like the challenge, and I never really thought that I would be put in a situation where I would have a character. Not just moves and not just doing good work rate, but now I was gifted. I say I was gifted or blessed with a character where I could act like a complete nut, but I could also still do good in-ring stuff. And Crowbar was born.
Yeah. Well, talk to in an alternate universe. Say if WCW survived and booking was kind of at more of a helm of where like wrestlers could kind of have more input or something. Where would you have liked you to develop to? What would you have liked to see happen more in this a new WCW, so to speak?
One thing that I would have loved to have is traditionally when there's a feud between a guy in a group and another guy, the other guy usually beats an undercard guy from the group to kind of advance the feud. So
yeah.
David was fighting with Ric Flair. He was feuding with his father. And I said, oh my God, it's going to happen because, in my mind, it would be really cool. Rick doesn't get to David right away, but he gets a match with me and he beats me. And then after he beats me, David comes in and he beats up his father. And Rick catches a beatdown. Never happened. But I swore it was going to happen. I'm like, oh my God, I can taste it now. I'm going to get to wrestle Ric Flair, and then Rick will beat me, and then David will come in and, we'll all beat him down, and it'll be insane.
Yeah.
It never happened, but that's something that I wish would have happened.
Oh man, yeah, that would have been pretty sweet. That would have been pretty sweet, all right. Hey.
To this day, I say, how did that not happen?
Yeah, right. Dang it.
How did that not go down?
Oh man, yeah, that would have been nice, man. Talk to about working with Daphne too. I always felt that she was a quite an amazing personality. Just even in my teenage years and everything like that. But even seeing how women's wrestling has developed today, she would seem like she'd be a personality that fit right in today's wrestling too.
She was great. She was an actor that explained how she had a gymnastics background or cheerleading background. I'm not sure which one. Maybe both. So I kind of took it upon myself. Hey, let's show you how to do a Frankenstein. Let's show you how to do this and that. And here and there, we would incorporate it into our matches. I think when David kind of turned and it was me and Daphne together, I think we had a great synergy going on. I think a lot of the younger fans at that time liked what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were, we were funny, but we were violent, and I think we were delivering good in-ring work rate. I think there was a ton of potential there, and she is a great human being. My family right now, we love Shannon. We get along great with her, and I just wish we lived closer. I really hope somewhere along the line there's an opportunity to incorporate her into something we're doing. She's a great person, and I think fans would really take to her again. She had a great relationship with her fans, and she cared about them. She enjoyed what she was doing, and it's not for me to say, but I don't think that she's done. I think she has stuff to offer still.
Absolutely, and even I remember watching WCW obviously, and then after that fell through, and I went to college and kind of got out of wrestling for a little bit, but then got back into it and saw she was in TNA and stuff, and as even Nurse Daphne and stuff like that, I was like, wow, she is really good at this stuff.
Sure,
yeah, it's cool to see.
She's an actress, and she knows how to do it. She's a trained actress and a performer.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. Another guy that was awesome too was, and that as a kid, I didn't really pick up on until later on, was Chris Candido. Talk about working with him and what talent today in today's business could really learn from him too, and how he handled himself.
Well, as I was coming up, Chris was a huge independent guy on the Northeast. If there was any big show, any good show he was on, he worked every weekend, probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He was the guy around here, and from character to in-ring work to whatever, he was a guy. I wrestled him for the first time. I was 18 or 19, and I had gotten in the ring, and at that time I actually wrote about this on Twitter maybe a week or two ago.
Uh-huh.
I got in the ring, and at that time, the veterans tested the young guys. They took liberties, and he came in and he cracked me upside my head. First thing, he slapped the shit out of me. But we went on to have a great match, and as from that time went, and at that time it wasn't called bullying, and I accepted it. It's just part of the business, and that's how they test me.
Sure.
And I took it, and after that point, I earned his respect. We became great friends, and we wrestled each other countless times. And fast forward years later, we had the opportunity to be on Nitro together and Thunder together, which is mind-blowing because here's this guy that I wrestled on an independent show when I was 18 or 19, and here we are on national television, and we're tearing stuff up.
Yeah.
We worked one singles and one tag match, which was a mixed tag with Daphne and Sunny, but I think there was so much more potential that we could have done there. Just an incredible in-ring performer, great guy. The whole slap in the face. At that day and age, at that time, that was just part of how wrestling.
No, you know what?
It just was.
Yeah, you look at that in the grand scope of things, and things change. So times change, and so but you look back at that, and that's just was the times. That's how it was. I mean, you look at any sport.
The funny part is, years later, it was after WCW, and we did a three-way match. I can't remember which match it was. There was a three-way match with me, Chris, and Sabu. And there was a four-way match with me, Chris, Sabu, and Hakushi. And we're just out there, and a special thing happened. When you're in there with guys you like and trust, and guys that you're friends with, you guys kill each other more than if it's somebody you don't know that well. So we're out there doing all kinds of wild stuff. We're cracking each other, and I'm working with Chris, Sabu was on the outside with Hakushi probably. I think it was a four-way. I back Chris into the corner, and he puts his hands up. The ref comes to break us apart, and I go, Chris, remember our first match? He goes, yeah, man, what's up? I went, wham! Brushed him as hard, and he goes down to a knee, and we both just start dying.
Yeah, that's great.
And you know what? And it was a funny receipt. He loved it. He laughed. I laughed. And then when we got to the back, we were dying about it. So I'll always remember that because that was my receipt from that first match. But it was given in complete love. There was no malice behind it. There was no ill intent. It was the moment was there, and it just fit. And I took it, and we just died about it. It was great.
That's awesome, man. That's so awesome. Oh man. Talk to just to be like you're from New Jersey, right? So
yes.
So and there's a lot of New Jersey talents that were around that time too in WCW, like DDP and
Sure.
Bam Bam and Canyon. How was your synergy with all those guys coming into play?
Well, Dallas says, I've said on many interviews, he's actually the guy that opened the door for me. He's actually the guy that got me signed. He was always great during college. I was full-time in college and physical therapy school, and I had made enough of a name for myself on the Northeast Independents that here and there, WCW would bring me in to do TV. You know, I do cruiserweight matches. I would do Saturday night matches, and I got to meet up with Paige, and we became great friends. And you know, at that time, there were a lot of enhancement matches. You know, that was just part of what wrestling was.
Sure, yeah.
And these days, you can have an enhancement match, and then they like what you do, and they do something with you. Back then, if you did too many enhancement matches, you kind of got typecasted into that enhancement guy role. Back then, not now.
Yeah,
then.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had done a show there, and Dallas came up to me. He goes, you got some really cool stuff. You know, I like what you're doing, this, that, and the other thing. He goes, but if you keep doing these shows here and there, it's great to be here, but you've been here. He goes, you're going to get stuck in that job guy role. He goes, so you have to go back, finish school, work on your body, work on your craft, work on all this stuff. He goes, graduate school, and when you're done, if I could do something for you, I will. So I did all those things. I graduated physical therapy school in 1998. I worked for about a year, and then I sent a tape. Back then we had tapes. We had videotapes, not DVDs or downloaded stuff or email. I gave him a tape, and he checked it out, and next thing you know, I was signed to WCW.
Oh, how great is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Oh man, do you do DDP yoga? Have you tried that out or anything like that? DDP yoga?
I can tell you this. I've been doing it since it was called YRG.
Yeah, how about the yoga for real guys? Yeah.
Yeah. That got to be about 2000 and maybe 3 or 4. I think it's great.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, and I'm not just saying this because he's a buddy of mine. I credit that to me being able to do what I do at 46 years old. I do it regularly. A lot of people just do cardio and they train weights. A huge part of not getting hurt is being flexible. His workouts are not only intense, but they're low impact and safe. And that's in physical therapy, when I advise patients about working out, when they finish physical therapy, they usually they want to go on to work out, they want to maintain their gains. And I said the first rule is exercise should be safe. Because if it's not safe, you know, you might twist a knee, you might hurt a shoulder, and then you're going to shut yourself down. You're not going to be able to work out. You're not going to be able to be consistent. You're not going to be able to make those gains. I consider my exercise when I go in the ring, that's high impact. I'm still diving to the floor. I'm still flipping around. I work hard. And when I have a match, I let it all hang out, and I do what, you know, I don't hold back, and I put a lot of stress on my body. I beat my body up.
Yeah.
That being said, when I'm not in the ring, I want to conserve my body. I want to protect my body. I know those matches are going to add up. So over the years, there's always been pushes for this high intensity training, this plyometric training, this, that, the other thing. I've always been on the side of, if I want to be able to wrestle hard, if I want to be able to do all this wild stuff that's going to damage my body, when I exercise, I can't afford to damage my body. I need to choose a workout. I need to select a regimen that will preserve my body, where I will get gains, but I'm not going to beat up my joints. I'm not going to beat on, I'm not going to pull on my tendons, my ligaments, this and that. So I've always had a more conservative workout. I've worked out hard, but I've worked out smart. I've chosen workouts that aren't going to damage my body, and here I am, not to say I know it all. I'm 46 years old, and many of the guys that I've run with are gone, and they've been gone for years. Or if they are still there, they're out there, and they're not doing, and they're just getting by and just doing what they can. And I'm not saying that wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong. I'm not being snarky, but I'm saying at 46 years old, I'm able to perform at a level that I enjoy and that in my mind and in my heart, I know is respectable. And I could still go like I did years ago. And that could be it. And I attribute that to working out smart for years and years and years and not beating my body up.
Yeah, and there's so much to be said.
Minimize the wear and tear. If I know there's going to be a lot of wear and tear in these matches, when I'm working out, I'm going to minimize that wear and tear so that I can save it all up for the matches.
You got to conserve it up for sure, and I've done DDP yoga since probably about it was 2012. So just being able to do that and knowing I'm just building dynamic resistance from my body and not putting stress on weights or anything like that. It's just you really feel refreshed after you do it, and it's an additional perk to have when you're working out and you're watching the video and stuff like that. And DDP's just being himself, and he's kind of giving you oh, hold on out, and you're just damn it, DDP, hurry up, I'm losing it. It's just it's a fun aspect of it for sure. So
I still train with weights because I think it's important to have some more than average muscle development to be a pro wrestler.
Yes.
I like being a little bigger, but when I'm all done with wrestling, I have no idea when that would be. I'll probably just surrender to recumbent bike because there's no impact, and DDP yoga, that's where I'm going to end up being. But I still feel the need for muscle mass and stuff like that, so I still hit those weights. But whenever this phase of wrestling has passed me by and I'm done, it's probably going to end up being DDP yoga and some form of non-impact cardio equipment.
Absolutely. And you know what? A balance is always good too. You're doing that and just keep it loose even in general too.
Yep.
So when I figured out you're a Star Wars fan, I came up with some we can end the interview like this is I have some rapid question Star Wars stuff for you. Just
I'll fantasy book I had the whole sequel trilogy fantasy booked, and it just totally let me down.
Did it? So I don't care if you spoil it for me. I have not seen the last movie yet. But
okay.
I don't mind if you spoil it for me. But so overall, you weren't happy with how the process, how it went.
No, I think Ryan Johnson killed it. I think JJ had a great start. I was very interested in Snoke.
Yes.
I wanted to know Snoke's, and I had my own formulated fan-booked backstory on Snoke. So Snoke is this tall dude. He somehow knows stuff about the Force. If you read the novel, he knew about how Darth Vader had compassion for him, and that's ultimately what cost the Emperor his life, and yada yada yada. So
yeah.
I had the thing that I convinced would be great for Snoke. If you go back to Return of the Jedi, right? The Emperor has his red guards, and they're badass. And if you read the literature, they are Force sensitive somewhat. But there's one guard in the photos that's way taller than the rest. So my thing was, if they're around the Emperor, they kind of know some dark side stuff. They dabble in dark side stuff. They're familiar with his rituals and this and that, the other thing. So there was a tall Emperor's Guard when they first leave the shuttle. When the Emperor lands on the second Death Star, there's a taller guard. So I'm saying, wow, okay, this is just me, fantasy booking.
Oh yeah, we all do it.
Snoke is all beat up looking. He's all tore up. He has gashes in his head. His face is all discombobulated, this, that, the other thing. So I thought that Snoke could have been that guard. He saw the Emperor get killed. He saw that the Death Star was blowing up, and maybe he hops in a shuttle. And as he's going out, the Death Star explodes, does damage to the shuttle, but he somehow manages to survive, but he's all burnt up and beat up. I wanted Snoke to be the tall red guard.
Oh man, see, and you know what? Diehard fans of Star Wars would love that, and
that would have tied it directly to Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, and you know what? And even casual Star Wars fans that just tune in and like mainstream stuff, they would you could make them easily invested into that too. It's like it's a best of both worlds.
Flashback, you have a really cool flashback sequence with the guard there. On Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader brings Luke to see the Emperor. The Emperor says, "Gods, leave us," and he's one of the guys that left. But he was there, but he knew what went down. He was kind of maybe peeking or something. He was kind of got the whole Vader Luke thing going on, and that's who I wanted Snoke to be.
Oh, see, that would have been great. That would have been great. All right.
I could have booked that, man. Way better than what we got.
Than what we got ended up getting. All right, so here I'll run down. You just give me some answers, and we'll see. I want to just get your thoughts on them. So okay. So besides, I'll say Darth Vader is obviously like the number one villain of Star Wars. Who's the second best?
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Wow. Okay. Thoughts on the Solo movie?
Loved it. It was because, and I'll tell you why. I was so disappointed with The Last Jedi. I was going into Solo still mad about The Last Jedi and had no hope for it. And it was a fun Star Wars movie. It involved a space train heist. You saw Han. You saw how he met Chewbacca. You saw this other, and I'm a big follower of Clone Wars and Rebels. When Darth Maul showed up at the end, I lost my mind.
Dude, I loved it.
Maul fan. I love Darth Maul, but they said best heel. Grand Admiral Thrawn is a work of art from when I read the Timothy Zahn books years ago, and I love what Dave Filoni has done with him now. Just a great character. Oh, man.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, so Han's my guy. That's why I put this question in there. And so, like, when I watched it, I was like, I love this movie. I thought the guy, the younger actor that played Harrison, I thought he did a nice job.
Yeah,
like,
I thought he was great.
Yeah. And it just...
I love the movie. It's a fun movie. I've watched it multiple times, and it's still great.
Oh, me too, man.
And I love seeing Woody, too. Woody was great. Woody...
Oh, my God, yeah.
Great.
Oh, he was great at it, too. Oh, man, he fit right in. I love that, too. Okay, just overall, who's your favorite character?
I can't name just one. Darth Maul definitely up there. I'm a huge Jabba the Hutt fan, and I'll tell you why. When you were a kid, this is before the special edition, Greedo confronted Han in the cantina, and there's this whole big dispute over Jabba money, this, that, and the other thing. But you don't find out until the third act what this guy looks like. In the special edition, when George Lucas changed it, you see Jabba in Star Wars: A New Hope. He's in the hangar bay.
Yeah.
But growing up, you had to wait to the third movie to even see what the hell this guy was and this badass. What's his deal? So there was a lot of suspense and a lot of like in your head fantasy booking. What does this guy look like? What's a hut? What is that? So as a kid, that was a huge deal. Which kids watching it now, they're not going to see that because they see Jabba and Noob. And also the same thing can be said for the Emperor. I want to know who this Emperor guy was. They changed though Also, with the special editions and the new releases, they changed the hologram in Empire Strikes Back. You saw a better picture of the Emperor. In the original release of The Empire Strikes Back, you got a pretty grainy, hologrammy look of the Emperor. And then when you finally got to see him in Return of the Jedi, I think as a kid, that's one of the reasons why I loved Return of the Jedi, because you finally got to see Jabba, and you got to see the Emperor, and then at the end of all this, Darth Vader took his friggin' helmet off. It was mind-blowing.
Yeah, oh man. And you know what? That fact of like not being able to see the Emperor and stuff like that very harkens like to like almost like a Jaws, where there's like a mystery of it. Like who...
Well, the kids won't get it because when they updated it, you see a pretty good shot of him in Empire Strikes Back now, and you see Jabba the Hutt in A New Hope now.
Yeah, I remember too, because that's when I got into Star Wars, was when they re-released those movies in like 1996 and stuff like that, and that's when I got like really into it. So,
and I'll go a step further too. There was no internet. There was stuff was kept under lock and key, so you had no idea what these guys might look like. You had no idea where the story was going. So it really was a special time for Star Wars fans.
Oh, it's such a great time too. I remember just being like in 6th grade and being like, I love this. I don't know anything about this movies or anything like that, but I love them. So, okay, least favorite character. Who's that?
Least favorite character. It sounds easy to say, but I'll say Jar Jar Binks.
Okay, second least, because I had him. I was like, least favorite character not named Jar Jar. So who's your second one?
Least favorite character. Trying to think. That's a tough one because they all kind of serve in the original trilogy. They all kind of serve a purpose.
Yeah, they do. I'm trying to think who mine would be, honestly, too. I put you on the spot with it, but I don't even know who mine would be.
Yeah, they all kind of play together. I really don't have a least favorite character. Here, I'll give you one just off the top of my head because he was very bland. He wasn't Chancellor Valorum.
Oh, okay, there you go. That's a good one.
Really kind of plain, kind of wishy-washy and,
Yeah. Okay, so, between these three.
Oh, better. Here's better right here. Sio Bibble, that guy that's kind of demanding that the Queen give up, and he's kind of...
Oh,
the death toll is catastrophic.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's either the Chancellor or Sio Bibble, one of those two.
Okay, all right. No, I can get behind that for sure. Okay, between these three, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi?
As an adult, Empire is awesome, the best. As a kid, because of all the reasons we previously discussed, Return of the Jedi was off the hook.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's two differences. If adult Chris Ford likes Empire Strikes Back better.
Okay.
Childhood Chris Ford lost his mind over Return of the Jedi. So there's two. I'm cheating. I'm giving you two answers.
No, that's fine. That's okay. Mine was probably since I was a Han kid, I was like New Hope because he like saves everybody, and then I was and then Return of the Jedi because he was really really highlighted in that. I was like, okay, those are my two. As long as Han comes out looking like the top of the card, I was like, that's my guy.
As a kid, I was always into suspense and where stuff was going, and I've always been a big fan of storytelling and where stuff goes. So that's why I think as a kid I was so satisfied with Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I
was also very disappointed with the storytelling of the Black Scorpion with WCW.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? So
yeah.
There was an example of really I actually was into the storyline and I was very disappointed with the payoff.
Oh yeah. Oh man, yeah. It was a kick. It was definitely a kick. Okay, in the Star Wars universe, what would you be, a Jedi or a Sith Lord? Sith Lord, oh, definitely, okay. Now, I think I saw something on your Twitter. Are you a gamer? Do you play Star Wars games?
I love games. I actually said this, and I was bringing game consoles to shows and to hotels before it was fashionable.
Oh, really?
I remember going to ECW, and I would pack my Nintendo. I would pack my PlayStation. I would pack no, not my PlayStation. What was it called?
Dreamcast?
Sega
Dreamcast?
thing, and I would
The
bring
Genesis.
that with me. I will personally right now take credit. I can confidently say that I think I'm the first person to do that.
No way.
Everybody else was going out, tearing stuff up, and they were partying. I would go back to my room and I would go around the back of the TV. I would find the input. I would put it in, and I would play games, which was probably why I really wasn't too popular with the ECW locker room. You know, besides that and studying backstage, I didn't quite fit in too well that. But now being an adult, like I said, work, family come first. I don't have as much time to play games. When I do, it's usually Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2. I just downloaded Racer Revenge last week, and I love playing that again. It's awesome.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I kind of wish I don't have the time to put into it now. I would love to redo Knights of the Old Republic game. I love that game.
Oh, yeah. See, I never got to play that, the RPG version, that RPG game.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, I was good at Battlefront when it was on like the PlayStation 2 and stuff like that. But once it got to the Xbox One, I just get annihilated. I get crushed.
Like the old the old Xbox system had Battlefront 1 and 2, and now I also like the newer ones as well.
Yes. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. No, those are really fun games. Now this is offside. Were you did you like Mortal Kombat at all?
I liked it. As I said, I always prioritize more Star Wars games, so I liked Mortal Kombat. I didn't put in the time to really learn all the combinations.
Yeah.
I knew the basics,
Yeah.
and it was fun to play. I still have it now for the Xbox 360. I have and I play with the kids. I play with my wife. Not that good at it, but it's fun and I enjoy it.
Oh yeah, no, those are like in my wheelhouse of games. See, I'm not a big fighting game guy, but Mortal Kombat, I just love those characters.
And I use either Scorpion or Sub-Zero.
You can't beat those guys. You can't beat those guys, no doubt. Get over here, right? So, okay, you have the helm of the Star Wars franchise. What would you do next for them? What would be the next step for you?
I've seen online that they were talking about rebooting the whole thing using this world between worlds that they introduced in Rebels, where you can kind of travel through time and undo stuff. I would love to I would use that to kind of reboot what happened after Return of the Jedi, or I honestly, when I went on the road with WCW, I got I really started diving into the expanded universe at that time, and Timothy Zahn had Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, The Last Command, and that's where the Empire, or the remnants of what was left, was taken over by Grand Admiral Thrawn. He had a clone Dark Jedi at his disposal, and Luke he was starting a Jedi Academy, and you saw badass evolved Luke Skywalker, not this guy that wanted to die in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
You had an evolved, cool-ass Luke Skywalker. There's Mara Jade, who was the Emperor's hand that wanted to kill Luke, but Luke ends up hooking up with her. It was a great story. I just don't know why they don't make that into a trilogy. It's such a perfect story. They've already made Thrawn canon in Rebels. I would honestly love to see those 3 books made into movies and made canon.
And you know what? It was upsetting to hear too, because I never read the books, but I remember seeing them when I was a kid in the library.
Pick them up; they're incredible.
Yeah,
I read each one about 3 or 4 times each, and they're just awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, they were canon originally, and then they took them out of canon. Correct? Is that?
I believe so. I'm not sure how the whole EU worked, but I went from them to the Jedi Academy trilogy. But what was cool at that time was that there were multiple authors of the expanded universe, but they each followed the path laid out before them by the other author. So there was continuity.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what's really special about like those kind of franchises, whether it's comic books or that, or even wrestling. Like I love nods to continuity and everything like that when it comes back.
Yep.
I'm a big geek for that stuff. All right, this is the last question. Most underrated character
in Star Wars.
In Star Wars.
Ooh. I think Darth Maul originally was way underrated, but then they brought him back, and what Clone Wars did with him, how they found him, how he had a brother, how you found his mother, Mother Talzin, who was kind of like a Sith witch, they redeemed themselves with that whole story, So I would say Darth Maul, but I think they kind of fixed it, and I think he has a cool thing going on now. Right now, I think it's going to change, but I'm, with The Mandalorian. But if you go by what the first 6 movies did with Boba Fett, I think there's a lot to be told in that story.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I somehow think Jon Favreau's going to change that with The Mandalorian.
Yeah, no, I think you're right too. I'm excited to see what happens exactly. It's so fun, man. Well, cool. Anything you want to plug in general too? You're relatively new to social media. Give out your handle and all that stuff. And any details you want, feel free. It's true.
Okay, I'm on and off of Twitter whenever I have time at WCW Crowbar as my as the whatever the description on top is. I post real stuff. I post fake stuff. Just have fun and try to figure out what's what. We're just looking forward to seeing where we could bring this group once this whole quarantine thing is done. I'm freaking love wrestling. I have plans to release. I had plans of doing a new video this evening, not for Cody, but to more address the fans. Maybe this new character addressing fans, and maybe kind of, get them a little bit mad or something. But it just didn't happen. So be on the lookout. It's going to come out. It's just, subject to what my schedule allows me to do. I love talking with these guys online, even the haters that say wild stuff. It's just I'm really learning that Twitter is a really weird place.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
And definitely the lines between reality and what's not reality and stuff is definitely blurred. But at the end of the day, just keep an eye out. We love doing this stuff. I have a great crew with me, with the 3 of us, my wife, and Percival, his name is, with the big bodyguard, which is a great story in and of itself. I hope to tell one day. He's actually a patient of mine, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
He walked into my clinic years ago, probably 4 years ago. I was working on somebody, and I see this gigantic dude walk into my door. And here's another tidbit. If you want to look for Easter eggs, he's a big wrestling fan. And if you watch my match against Joey Janela on YouTube, he's actually in the front row.
Whoa!
At that point in time, he was just a fan. So he got a diagnosis of a tendonitis in his elbow. The doctor sent him my way because they like the work we do. We start talking, and again, I'm going to throw the Seinfeld at you, yada, yada, yada. I refer him to a local wrestling school. I help train him, and probably the majority of his first matches out there were for veteran benefit shows, and he's a veteran. He's an Army veteran.
Oh, wow.
So he was the baby face doing the Army man gimmick, and I was the bad guy, so I kind of got to guide him and kind of work him along and stuff. He's a great performer. For all you high flyers out there that might want to jump on me, he's a great base to help catch it. And now he's, we're not sure whether he's a bodyguard or if he's an attendant. I kind of like, goes back to that Steve Regal thing, which is cool. And he's got a really cool group, and, it's we'll see where it goes. I think we have a pretty unique gimmick going, and I think the real life story behind the whole thing is even arguably more interesting than the characters themselves, which is kind of cool.
Oh, heck yeah. It creates a lot of intrigue, too. A lot more investment in it, too, which is great.
Sure.
Awesome.
People like to know both sides. They like to know the character, but they like to know this, like other side, and it's a cool story I hope to tell one day. We'll see.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to it. Well, no, thank you so much for joining me. It's been awesome to bullshit about Star Wars and about what you did, and I'm intrigued. Like, just being at that, and like, so good props to you too for being able to stay in the game and keep with it, but also like just have a healthy balance of life in general too, because that's.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Love this stuff, and hope to do it for many, many more years to come. And at the end of the day, if you take nothing away from this, Snoke should have been that tall red guard, man.
Yeah, damn it.
If people take nothing else away, they need to know that had I wrote in the prequel trilogy, Snoke would have had a way better backstory, and he would have been kick-ass.
Damn it. Well, maybe someday it could be canon. The timeline could get reversed. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, cool. Thanks for joining me, brother. I appreciate it. This is Dominic D'Angelo, WrestleZone.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo and follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. So there you go.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.